Hurricane season has started. Our forecast issued a couple months ago was just tweaked a little bit. We'll go over those updates and where are we right now in this LRC. There's a river of air above us that is cycling regularly, and we will tell you where we are and what is forecast ahead for hurricane season and the next severe weather setup. I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak with Weather 2020. Let's take a look. All right. We'll start by looking at our hurricane season guide that's going to come out. This is our tropical update on June the 6th. Look at this. You can see a strong El Nino is showing signs of developing. You see this here? This is last October when we were in what would be called La Nina conditions. Now, a very beginning of El Nino. And then in November, a strong El Nino is likely to develop. So we are going through a complete phase change, and yet the pattern is the same. All right? So let me explain that to you. The pattern right now, regardless of El Nino developing, is still the same as last October. What does that tell you? What that tells you is that the LRC is the centerpiece of the big atmospheric jigsaw. La Nina shifting to El Nino, remember that's in progress, and yet the weather pattern is currently right on schedule for the LRC despite the ongoing transition from La Nina towards El Nino. If you knew where and when the greatest hurricane threats were likely months in advance or severe weather outbreaks, what decisions would you make differently? If you're a farmer and you want to know what's going to happen the next few weeks, is it going to be wet or dry? This is how you can find out. And by the way, I just watched the movie. I went to the movie theater yesterday and saw Pressure. Go look up the movie Pressure. It's a great weather movie. I give it 4 stars out of 4. Right, they sort of even talk about the LRC, but not quite. But here it is. Look at this. This is the LRC for you. Here's California. Here's the United States. There's Washington, Oregon, Kansas, Nebraska. This is back on October 14th. This is looking at the river of air at about 18,000 feet up above us. You see this storm? We established it's about an 11-week cycle, 75-day cycle. So 225 days later, on May 27th, the pattern looks the same. All right? Now, fast forward to 11 days later, October 25th, this jet stream coming across the Pacific, a little upper level low coming out of the southwest. Same thing is happening now on June 7th on Sunday. See that? Let's go one day forward. That little upper low ends up in southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, but look, that's where it was. See this? Look at the ridge. Look at the ridge. The trough in the east. The trough in the east. That jet stream coming in. 224 days apart, roughly a 75-day cycle. One more day still lines up. It's not just one more day, it's every day. What is going to happen to this energy? It's going to dive in and produce severe weather risks. As you can see here, this is a forecast that we issued in the National Storm Chaser Conference in Denver. I was up there, and let me tell you, it was not perfect. You know why? I predicted the end of May and early June, okay, for that to happen. As we got to mid-February, I realized that this is going to be a little bit later. So we updated the forecast months ago to include June 5th to June 18th, centered on June 10th to 15th. So let's watch what happens. Some significant severe weather is possible in the week ahead, as predicted by the LRC. So if we can predict this by the LRC, and you can see tornadoes happen in each cycle. This is late October, mid-January, early April, and now this is when it is due to return and predicted months ago. And we're going to get tornadoes again, I believe. At least that's the forecast. It'll be 4 for 4 if that happens in this segment of the LRC. So there it is. The LRC predicts severe weather. What about hurricanes? Here is the Weather 2020 hurricane season forecast updated. And yes, Weather 2020, the most accurate 3 years in a row, 2022 to 2024. Number of named storms, number of hurricanes predicted, major hurricanes, and accumulating cyclone energy, the number one forecaster in the world based on Barcelona Supercomputing Center. Now, here's the thing. Last year, we didn't do very well. I didn't put 2025 in there. The LRC did well. I just predicted way too many landfalls and too many storms. So last year was not a great year, but 3 years prior, number one. All right, we provide the playbook right at the beginning of the season. Then you get your forecast guide, an in-season update like you're getting now. We'll do another one in July or August. The LRC comes through with accuracy. Here are the name stories for the season. Arthur, Bertha, Cristobal, Dolly. We believe we'll get through 8 names. So there's 6. We'll get to Isiasias, or whatever that is. Isaias. Remember we had it a few years ago. Josephine, Kyle, Leah, Marco. Probably not getting all the way to Nana or Omar. But we'll see. We're expecting our forecast of 8 to 12 named storms. 14 is average. 4 to 7 hurricanes. 7 is average. 2 to 3 majors. 3 is average. 105 ACE below average on ACE. 123 is average. All right? So that's our prediction for the broad scale. But here's what Weather 2020 does that others aren't capable of doing, because you have to know the LRC to be able to get this. We can predict when and where they're going to form. Here is Jamaica. Do you remember Hurricane Melissa back in October? Melissa was forming out here October 21st or 25th, came right across Jamaica, and then curved out to sea. All right? This, because of what Hurricane Melissa did, if you apply the LRC, it's due around early to mid-June, and there's something forecast to form right in here, and then track towards Florida and weaken. But then watch out, mid to late August. If something does form in the next week, this becomes even more likely. All right? So this is the development zone, and we'll watch closely because there's something starting to show up here in the next few days. Another weather seed, as we call it, produces this risk around June, mid to late June, late August into mid-September, and Florida and the Southeast need to watch. Of course, this could always sneak into the Gulf as well. So this is a region we'll watch for another big development. And then one other big development is the favorable region of the Gulf of Mexico near the Yucatan to south of New Orleans, southeast of Houston and Brownsville. This is the favored zone for development, and so the Gulf Coast becomes a risk. So the hot spots, we're expecting watch out for South Texas and the eastern coast of Florida this year. Less likely on the west coast of Florida, not completely out of the question, just lower than average risk and above average risk in the bright red area. So again, the Gulf Coast risk, the Midwestern Gulf focus, and then that Florida and Southeast risk. These are the time frames. If you knew, what would you do based on the LRC? All right, so rainfall is still forecasted there, and we'll get to that later in Tuesday's report. We have the LRC model that's available through our Weather Vision dashboard. Contact us at hello@weather2020.com. Any questions you may have at all. So there's a quick update with your hurricane season forecast updated. Be sure to follow us, weather2020.substack.com. And we have a discount right now if you're interested. $100 off right now for the next year. And that'll be just this weekend's update, that discount. I hope everyone's doing great. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak with Weather 2020. The pattern's right on schedule.